kicking for you like it's 9-3. You see, Rob impact the mic, keeping it real, G. Talk about relationships, money, and health. Dropping knowledge while I'm spitting it, that's a wealth.
Complex conversations, we break it down. Pop culture topics, we hold it down. Dive deep into society's complexities. Educate, entertain, never rest in the complex
Context, where the truth unfolds. Analyzing life through stories untold. Rob impact, dropping knowledge every day.
Unpacking life's complexities, one topic at a time. You're listening to Complex Context. Here is your host, Rob Impact.
Yes, here I am, your host, Rob Impact, and I'm back with you again for our 25th episode of Complex Context. Can you believe it? After today's episode, we're going to be 25 episodes deep. Man, time flies. I know that's cliche, but it really does. I feel like I just started this show, and I'm happy that you, part of my Complex crew, have been here supporting us and listening and just participation with your listenership. It means a lot, and it will be interesting to see where the show may or may not go as time goes on, so only time will tell how long we can keep Complex Context going, and for now, I'm really happy that we have each other and that we get to talk about life and everything going on in it. Speaking of which, how has your week been? I try and ask that at the beginning of every episode because it's important. I'd like to know, was it a good week? Was it a little bit of a rough week? Were you able to kind of fly through it, no problem? Did you have some obstacles that came up? Let me know. Reach out to us. We would love to have that interaction and know how you're doing and make sure that you as a listener are having a good time and you're not going through anything too rough. And if so, we'd like to be there for you because it's about a community. We need to be there for each other through good and bad. And you're always welcome to use Complex Context as a sounding board for any kind of life discussion that you would like, whether it's personal or just a generalization. My week has been extremely busy. I have physically done so much, and not a degree that I would expect to maintain long term, but I just kind of finished a large-scale project that I wanted to complete by the end of last week, and I was able to do that, and it felt very good, and I felt accomplished being able to do so. I also felt very sore by the time I could say, hey, the worst of the worst with this particular project is over. So it was an accomplishment, but as I record this, my body, my back, my ribs, I'm happy to be sitting in a chair. That's all I'm going to say. I've been doing a lot more standing, and I believe that's taken a toll in terms of transitioning from days where I would sit normally for extended periods of time to days now where I'm not doing that. I'm sitting when it's an available moment and I have to get to things at a desk level, but very different, very, very different. So in one aspect, I'm happy that physically a body in motion is usually a good thing for just general health and keeping your muscles and your overall self finely tuned. But every good machine needs a break every now and then. And this machine right now is kind of on standby, at least during the time frame where I'm recording this. So I'm looking forward to a few days of relaxation personally. You want to get into things? Let's talk about some stuff, all right? Isn't it amazing that there are so many different consumption options in terms of food and beverages that aren't good for you, but they taste so delicious and you really have these cravings every now and then? I have found that personally, as I've gotten to this point in life, a lot of that stuff, thankfully, hasn't appealed to me as much. I'm very particular with fast food. I don't like to have it too often. It just doesn't feel like what it used to in terms of being satisfied. And a lot of the beverages with the various ingredients that pass inspection and are considered acceptable in this United States of business, but really are terrible for your body. My body at this point is saying, hey man, no, we're not about that anymore. You enjoyed your sugary beverages for long enough with quite the consistency, but right now, you got to scale it back. You got to do something different. So my diet, I would say, especially over the past year, has changed quite a bit, and it's for the better. And there might have been times where, in feeling kind of blah physically and mentally, I took for granted how much of that may have contributed to my overall well-being and just how I feel, how I get up and approach the day. But there are still times for everybody where you have to just say, you know what, if that's the worst of it, if my vice is a couple hundred extra calories or a few hundred extra calories, maybe a little extra sugar, a little extra salt with something, sometimes you need to treat yourself. As much as I've been physically active during my day-to-day, it has been a good excuse to say, you know what, I think I have some little leeway to give in terms of calories and sugar and extra stuff that I normally wouldn't consume. I've found that there are certain nights where when I leave work and I get home, I go, wow, I feel a hunger that I haven't felt to this degree in quite some time. I low-key want to be kind of that gluttonous kid that says, ooh, I want a little of this and I want a little of that, and just kind of throw caution to the wind. I can't do that. It's not good. Nobody should do that. But there is that little bit of, all right, what can I dig my hands into that I really don't need to? This week, I've had a delicious pizza that really hit the spot. I'm talking, It's hard sometimes when you have something like that to not want to dig in and eat more despite your awareness of being full. You just want to sometimes go, you know what, I don't care that I'm full. I want another slice of pizza, and it was really hard for me to do that. But my pizza was sliced with not the traditional 8 slices, it was 6 slices, bigger slices, and I had feta cheese on there. If you haven't had feta cheese on your pizza, please try it. I can't recommend it enough. And half of it, I had some hamburger topping on it. So that was really the extent of my meat consumption for the week that wasn't chicken related. I also had a Starry, which I haven't had in quite a while. And by that, I mean, I don't normally have traditional soda as much anymore. I'm more of a Zevia kind of guy. I love their product. I really do, but I'm not going to get too much into it until we get a little sponsorship or at the very least partnership going. That would be nice. So Zevia, feel free to reach out. We love you here at Complex Context. Your cream and cola, and I'm not going to go on too much further, but give us a ring. We'll give that information out later in the show if you don't already have it. But yeah, I had a traditional fountain soda, Starry, and it was good. And I had a little bit of regret after, because even though it was thirst quenching and it was in the moment, that gluttony, that non-necessity of having that just kind of was like, So I'm at a crossroads kind of trying to be okay with digging into those things every so often. And it's not all the time. I think it's very important for people to definitely treat themselves. And this was a really good past few days of gluttony. I'll actually top it off with, we got a small batch of donuts for the family this morning as a treat for all of us, because we've been all so busy with our respective responsibilities or just personal time being committed to certain tasks that we need to get done. So, yeah, pizza earlier in the week, a Starry, and donuts. And that is not typical for me these days. The difficult part, at least for me in this part of my life, is making sure that the consumption, the vices of consumption, like what I just mentioned, stay regulated and stay rare. That was one problem that I think I had in the past, and I know people generally have a little bit of trouble, some more than others, with kind of knowing, okay, it's time for a little extra, or nope, already had that, got to pull back a little bit. It can really be a task in making sure that you don't overdo it. Not because it's terribly difficult, but like I said, there are some things as far as food and beverage that just taste so good. And the flip side is afterwards you kind of have this awareness and go, yeah, man, that was really good, but oh, that was so bad for me, and I really didn't need that, or I really didn't need to have as much as I did. It's a difficult balancing act. I'm interested in how you handle this and how you get to determine when it's treat time, when it's not treat time. I'm interested in knowing what your criteria is to say, okay, now I'm going to kind of dig into something extra. Maybe like an ice cream sandwich, right? Sometimes an ice cream sandwich can really hit the spot. I enjoy that, especially during the summertime. If you need just a little pick-me-up, I'm not talking the regular size ones, I'm talking the mini ones. The ones that are like maybe, for someone my stature, I'm a relatively tall guy. Maybe it's like a 3-bite ice cream sandwich. That's all I need. It's just enough taste to feel like, okay, you satisfied the craving. What's fascinating on the flip side of this is that there are also things that are good for you that I've developed a very respectable appreciation for, and can consider those as a snack that, of course, when you're typically younger, say preteen and into your 20s, that you might go, yeah, that's more of a necessity. It's not a snack. For example, I loved sliced carrots. Carrots are just so good. Man, there's something about the past few years I've really increased, I think, my regular consumption of carrots just because it's a good snack. I like them as is. They're good for you. It's as simple as could be. And usually in the morning, sometimes it'll carry over to the afternoon. I'll have a banana at some point, and that also for obvious potassium, but just the general flavor, the general way that I feel after having consumed it, it feels great. Things of that nature are just awesome to know that, hey, you can have it, you can have a little bit of extra, and you really won't, unless you go overboard, you really won't pay the price for it. As I say that, I can think back to the first side of what we're talking about and go, almost any variant of Reese's, someone could get me anything, any kind of Reese's, and I would likely eat it. The traditional peanut butter cups, I like the Reese's Fast Break. What else is there? There's all kinds of variants. I know I'm missing out on some. Oh, Reese's Pieces, of course, as I would consider it a movie theater staple. You got to have Reese's Pieces. I find that kind of interesting that you usually find Reese's Pieces before the peanut butter cups at movie theaters. I wonder why that is. There's something about that. I don't know, but there's also Reese's Outrageous. One of my favorites, the quintessential Reese's Sticks. Those are just so underrated. Reese's Take 5. I could go on, but I think there's a Reese's Nutrageous, if I remember, that I enjoyed. And yeah, Nutrageous is different from Outrageous. It's two different things. But my point is, again, people could get me those variants. I would have them because it's so good. Meanwhile, on the flip side, I also wouldn't want to have more than, say, one snack per, I don't know, every couple of days. But I could down a nice side of spinach or maybe a nice side of cauliflower, no problem, without butter or salt or anything, just cooked as is. So it's weird how there are certain foods that you can have and they're good for you and you look forward to them. And when I say the cauliflower and spinach, I'm probably appealing to the more older listeners, not terribly old, but let's say middle-aged listeners like yours truly. So, but hey, I would be impressed if you were a younger one and you said, you know what, I would love some cauliflower right now, or maybe some green beans, something like that. Those things are so much more appealing at this point in my life. But why is the focus, the marketing, the United States of business in terms of food and beverage consumption, it seems so heavily focused on the things that we're not supposed to have, at least with any kind of regularity or any kind of mass consumption? That's a little frustrating because there's so much attention on it, you kind of forget about the things that you should be having and that you probably would like anyways. It's amazing to know that fast food, as I guess well regarded and respected as it used to be for me in the past, now just doesn't really appeal to me. Again, when you have, I suppose, those times in life where you have so much physical activity and you've really been hustling your body and you could just use the extra calories because you've burned probably twice as much as what you would have expected to or normally would, yeah, it kind of opens up the opportunities to say, let's dig into something a little extra that maybe we kind of already worked off. We have the room for that. But it's so dangerous when you think of certain people that just dig into those things with regularity and they don't have regular motion, regular movement, or maybe just their gastrointestinal system isn't happy about those things coming in. I know mine's a lot more picky, and where I would go yum in the past for certain things, like a particular soda or a particular sugary snack, now it's like, yeah, no, I'm all set. It's kind of weird, but kind of cool to see how people can grow and get out of their habits. I'm interested. I'd love to hear from you regarding what do you consider your vice with consumption of beverage and food? Is it an excess of red meat? Is it chocolate or candy? Or is it something that involves maybe a salad? Do you like having cucumbers with ranch dressing? Which, as I give that example, that's kind of, I never understood that. The cucumbers themselves, that's fine. But you put that ranch dressing on, there's so much crap in that. And almost every other female in the United States, it's some kind of rite of passage. By the time they get at least, I don't know, 9, 10, 11 years old and beyond, there's some obsession about ranch dressing. I don't understand it. I would love perspective on it, though, if you happen to know what I'm talking about. But let me know, what do you like for digging in for a snack? Is it the good stuff? Is it the, I know I shouldn't have it stuff, but I'll have just a little bit? You can contact us. We'll give you that information later on in the show. Num num nums. Make sure that you don't overdo it. Stay hydrated and eat well. As I sip my water, I'm kind of having a reflection of how I slept last night. And I thought it was interesting because I don't really have much feedback from others about this. And I'm very intrigued about how other people may feel about this. do you have a regular type of sleep, let's call it condition or sleep satisfaction that you experience from evening to evening, and when you wake up, you're aware of how you slept? I guess to better put it, do you find that your quality of sleep from evening to evening is relatively the same, or is there variation that you notice when you get up the next morning? I've been in this weird type of inconsistent cycle of having one night where I sleep through the night and I have no problems, don't wake up, it's great, feel physically comfortable. The next night, I will wake up as the first of, say, 3 nights in a row around 3 a.m. And some of those nights, my mind is like, oh man, why you awake? Go back to sleep. And then I can go back to sleep. And then there'll be the next night where I'll wake up at 3 a.m. and my mind starts racing for no particular reason. I'm not too sure why. Other than maybe physically, I just kind of feel blah. I can tell that I shouldn't be awake. And then I get a little anxious and get one of our dogs up towards me so I can just kind of pat her and get myself relaxed and go back to sleep. There's nights where I can feel like I'm comfortable in a temperature kind of perspective. Environmentally and body temperature, I feel good. I feel like I have the proper clothing on and can sleep okay. And then there'll be nights where I'm sweating like nobody's business, and it could be dream related. It might not be dream related, but I'm just having night sweats for no reason that I can decipher. And then you have the sporadic night where you think you dressed well and you go, oh, a little cold, and then end up pulling the comforter up kind of over your head, or at least over your face. It's very odd to me that you can have that type of inconsistency from night to night, especially when I think in comparison of years past where I could pretty much predict the quality of sleep, which was always respectable, and I never had any concerns about it, and there were no changes to it. So it's very odd. And I say when I started this as I drink my water, because that's part of it too. There are nights where I will be fine. I have a couple sips of water before I go to sleep. And if I wake up or if I don't wake up, I'm still relatively as hydrated as I need to be. And then there'll be nights where if I wake up, I feel like I've been in the desert and I have to have like 2 to 3 sips of water and then lay back down before I can try and go back to sleep. So I can't really put a particular circumstance or situation to how I sleep. I'm pretty consistent in terms of what I take in, both for food and beverage and for just general supplements. I just would like that consistency to return. And I don't know if maybe it's just a sign of temporary place that I'm at, but what about you? How does your sleep go? Do you have that consistency? And if so, how long has it been? Has it been all your life, or has it just been in certain blocks? What is interesting to me is in going forward, wondering if I'll establish kind of a new block of consistency. Like, will I have a new regular temperature, body temperature, and a new regular way of approaching how I go to sleep that will ensure better quality? It's very weird to think that you can have such regularity with something like that, and then it just kind of gets blown out of the water, and you go, dude, I can't identify what exactly I'm doing different because it feels the same to me. How would you handle that? How do you handle if you wake up? Does your mind race? I know my wife has posted a few things on one of her personal social media accounts about how if she wakes up in the middle of the night, say 2, 3 a.m., that her mind races about all kinds of different stuff. And it's meme worthy, right? I get it. I don't know to what degree her mind is active, but that seems to be reflective of somebody not getting the proper, consistent REM sleep that we're supposed to be getting. Sleep. You would never think that as time goes on, you would have your consistency altered to the point where you're like, hey, I'm just looking to get a solid 7.5 to 8 without any interruptions, without any guessing of will I have quality or disturbed sleep. Everybody deserves a quality night's rest. Pillows, comforters, your room temperature, they're all connected. And for me, I haven't found really any noticeable drastic changes in those factors from my sleep as of the past few months to, let's say, a year ago or a year and a half ago, where I still had that consistency. Part of it, too, might be physical activity. My hope is that as I've been a little bit more active physically during my day-to-day, which has been a welcome change, that it would help improve my sleep. And there are some nights where, yes, you can tell your body is just screaming, go to bed, man. We're done. We've put in a full day. Like, there's no more to give. And you usually start off at minimum very respectably. But there are still those nights where you might wake up at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and you go, man, I don't understand it for feeling so tired. Why am I awake again? What happened? Why am I not consistently staying asleep? It's a hard thing to judge, and I'm open to recommendations if you happen to have any, because my sleep, your sleep, everybody's sleep is super important. And I would like to know if there's any tricks, any kind of scheduling or approaching routines that would ensure a better and more consistent night of sleep. Feel free to send that information over, because I would love to share it with the Complex crew and all of our listeners globally. So don't hesitate. You want to send that info? We got that coming up for you. I want to give a shout out to all of our listeners across the globe, but especially listeners in Virginia. We see you putting in a little bit extra since the last time we were with you, so much love going out to you. Also, a shout going out to my daughter, who had a great performance during a high school halftime game recently. She joined the cheerleaders for, it's kind of a fundraiser where cheerleaders in training get to perform with them, and she did just that, and it was awesome. It really was. Made me happy to be able to watch her. So much love. I'm proud of her. And also a shout going out to my wife, because she's just awesome. She really is. And sometimes, as much as I try and say it, I just feel like you don't say it enough, regardless. So I want to give a lot of love to her. She is just fantastic. She has been such an important part of who I've become and who I want to remain being. So thank you to her. Much love, and thanks to my daughter, and thanks to you. Now, who would you like to thank? You can do that if you would like. You could also send us your feedback and opinions on the topics from today's show, as well as any feedback from any of our past episodes. You can reach out to us. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/complexcontext1. We're also on X. Our username is @complexcontext1. And you can find all things, including every episode, all the good complex stuff, at our official homepage, which is hosted by our distribution partner, Podbean. Hi, folks at Podbean. Thank you, as always. We appreciate you. Find us at complexcontext.podbean, podbean.com. And if you want to send something off of social media, we encourage the old-fashioned technological way. Feel free to send us an email. That means just as much. You can reach us at complexcontextshow@yahoo.com. We are on over 11 platforms, including Spotify, Apple Music, Podbean, of course, iHeartRadio. We're on YouTube. You can watch us through the Mass Ave Media page. It's really cool. Our logo will be on your screen. We also post episodes to our YouTube page. We're everywhere, man. It's hard to ignore Complex Context because we are in so many places. And whatever place you end up in during your week, I hope it's a good one, because we all need to be there for each other and make sure that our environment, our day-to-day is done with a lot of care, a lot of love, a lot of respect, and we just need to be in a good place together as a united community. So I wish that for you and for myself, as well as a good week ahead. I am Rob Impact. Do what you do it often, do it well. Just don't do anything I wouldn't do, and you'll be doing all right. I'll catch up with you.
Visit the show's website at complexcontext.podbean.com. Complex Context is a Mass Ave Media production.